What's up, people? So, welcome back to another Insights Ups podcast. So, we're here today with athlete Chloe Pickford. So, do you want to start off by just introducing yourself, Chloe? Say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so obviously, Danny's already said my name's Chloe. I've been with Insight for how long have I been with Insight for,
It's
Danny?
been about
Coming up 2 years.
it's probably about 10 months, 11, 10.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not actually been that long. And I am a figure athlete. I've been competing for coming up 4 years. And I've been quite successful, very, very successful. I want to be modest about it. But I did really well. I did really well in my last year. I got British champion with PCA, which is really cool. And I've had last year off and then this year off, and then I'm going to be competing again beginning of next year, fingers crossed. But to be honest with you, I don't even know what's going to happen with anything at the moment. So I'm not, like, in my head, I'm not planning on starting prep
Right. Okay.
because you just don't know what's going to happen with competitions, do you? Like,
Yeah. No,
I'm
that's
just
true.
kind of a bit concerned. And I'm also an online coach as
Cool.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I'll tell you what. First of all, how's lockdown been for you? Like, how has it influenced the things you do differently, or?
For me personally, with my business, it's made my business grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually been more positive for me
Yep.
rather than negative. So career-wise, well, like job-wise, sorry, I've not really been affected, which has
Okay.
been a godsend. But I guess that's the whole beauty of online training. People are always going to kind of need you,
Exactly. Yeah.
and more so now as well, more than ever. So
Right. Okay. So,
yeah.
have you had to change the way? Well, I'm guessing you will have had to done since gyms are shut. You had to change the way you're programming people. Has it been something that your clients have taken to well, or something that potentially been a bit like, because it's so different?
Yeah, so obviously, like, my business isn't like home training. So if someone was to come to me as a client, potential client, and they weren't really gonna go to the gym, I would potentially find that quite hard
Yeah.
as a coach, because I want my clients want to work with. I want them to be going to the gym, and obviously most of my clients their goal is to build tissue and do photo shoots or maybe compete or something. So, but I do also train general pop clients, but the majority of my clients always go to the gym. So I've never really like had to think about home training.
Yeah.
But it has actually been really interesting, and I've actually really enjoyed it, and my clients have adapted to it really, really well.
Right. Okay.
Because it's something that we all need to do, and I think it's helped them seeing me do it as well.
Yeah.
And obviously we're all in the same boat, so we can't really avoid it. We're either going to have to train at home or not train at all.
Right. Okay.
So they've done really, really well.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, so for you, when you like during this lockdown, did you have? So obviously, I've seen you doing some bits. Did you have any form of equipment before this, or was it a case of you went out and bought it?
So I live in London, and in the flat when we were there, because my boyfriend caught coronavirus.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
He wasn't actually officially tested because he never went to hospital, because his symptoms were bad, but they weren't to the point where he couldn't breathe.
Right.
So we were talking to 111 and everything like that, and they said to us, "You don't need to come in." But he had all the symptoms, and it was a bit, coincidental.
Right.
So I had to then. So he was ill for a week and a half. I then had to then stay in the flat for 14 days
Right.
from when he first got ill. I
Right.
think
Okay.
that's it. Yeah. So we basically had bands and dumbbells that went up to like 10 kilos, 12 kilos.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't ideal. And then we moved back to Kent when I came out of the quarantine period,
Mm-hmm.
that 14-day period. And then here, my boyfriend had like a quad extension benchy kind of all-in-one thing,
Right.
which was quite cool. And then like a squat rack, and then like a really small barbell thing with like plates you screwed on,
All right.
like
Yeah.
twist things. But then we just thought, you know what, we need more,
Right. Okay.
because I wasn't able to really push myself. So we
Yeah.
got a barbell and T-bar row connector thingy handle,
Right. Okay.
and plates and stuff. So it is good, and I'm lucky to have what I have. However, I still miss the gym, and I'm still struggling in this period. Like, there are obviously some days that are better than others.
Yeah.
Like, this week's been good so far, but last week my training, I did really struggle, and I think people need to realize that it's okay to struggle,
Yeah.
because we're all used to going to the gym, and I think you need to be positive in this situation, but you can't be like or really positive all the time, because that's just not normal.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Feel pissed off,
Yeah. So did you never catch it then?
So a lot of people don't actually show symptoms.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people. I thought it was my asthma.
Mm-hmm.
I do have asthma. I was like a little bit breathless and chesty, but I thought that was because I'd been inside and
Okay.
hadn't been outside so much, because obviously in London we weren't really allowed to go outside.
Right.
So that could have been my only symptom.
Right. Okay. So you moved. Where are you living now? Is it your boyfriend's family's house? Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, for you then, I guess it's it's good that he had that stuff, and I think it's. Do you know what? Like with myself, like I hadn't trained nowhere near enough as I should, but when I have, it's been, I'd say for the first 4 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer, it was actually a little bit, not good, but it was quite like, because it was so different. Obviously, you don't have that much weight, so obviously doing a lot more reps, a lot more kind of, not cardio, but more cardio-based things. It was actually quite interesting. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Which I think has been kind of the same for a lot of people, but then suddenly it's hit a point where you're like, nah, I want to go back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is, because it's stuff like, it's more so back stuff. So like I can do pressing movements here, okay.
Yeah.
So I've got I've got dumbbells and I can press the barbell and do military presses and incline press and stuff like that. But for pulling movements, you have a T-bar and you have a bent over row. But I really, really miss the whole ISO rows, and I just feel like I really miss that. And also obviously for legs as well, being locked into a machine is always such a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And in a hack squat where you can really, really load it. So, but it is what it is. We can't change this, and we've got to make the best out of a bad situation. But it still doesn't take away the fact that it is annoying for us.
Yeah. So with your clients, so what have you kind of, something I'm quite interested in is, what have you advised them to do? So is it a case of you've said, if you can afford it, can you go buy some equipment and then here's what you need to do? Or is it a case of, what do you have? I'll give you something tailored around that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so a lot of it was, what do you have to start with? But you'll find the majority of my clients that are, most of my guy clients have invested into a barbell and some heavier weights.
Yeah.
Just because you can't expect guys who have been lifting a lot of weight in the gym to then suddenly start using resistance bands. Like, it's just not, they're not going to build muscle.
Yeah.
And for them to keep saying it's good to have equipment. But I have said, for people that have got the aspiration to compete or do a photo shoot, you need to invest, because at the end of the day, gym equipment's always going to be used.
Yeah.
And it is an investment in yourself. So if you can afford it, go for it.
Yeah.
But I understand people's budgets can be tight. Some people are furloughed and all these kind of things. So we just work with what someone has. And actually, you can do a really good, effective program with a few dumbbells, some resistance bands, and just isometric holds.
Yeah.
And that's really been beneficial for my gym pop clients. But some of my clients are lucky; they've got a couple of them have got a gym at home.
Right.
So they are really, really lucky. But the people that haven't, it has been more challenging for them. But also sometimes HIIT training and stuff for them just suits them and their needs and their requirements and stuff. So it's all person dependent.
Right. Okay. So with a lot of your clients, what would you say the percentages are in terms of bodybuilders to average fitness people? Like, what would you say? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I don't have a whole load of prep clients.
Okay.
I've got a few girls that compete, so they're figure athletes. And then I've got guys that want to do photo shoots. And then I would say it's like 60 gem pop, 40 competitors, photo shoot, transformation clients.
So with
which I really like.
Go on, what was that?
Which I really like. I like having the mix of them, actually. It's nice.
Yeah, so I mean, with the 40%, so with the ones that are actually on prep and stuff, so is it a case of, I guess there's two questions here, but the first one is the idea to still try and build muscle, or is the idea to kind of just hold on to what you've got?
So this goes for me as well. If they're able to load the bar and challenge their muscles, and obviously if they're in a calorie surplus and keeping their protein intake adequate and stuff, then potentially you could grow tissue the rate of that is kind of,
Yeah.
it could be questionable, but for them, it's just basically maintaining. And if we grow and if we change our body shape, fantastic. But they're not putting, and I'm not putting the pressure on them to get massive through this period, because
Yeah.
it's not going to be realistic to say that and, you know, expect that from a client if they haven't got a gym available to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think one thing that I've kind of, there's been the odd few people that have been trying to do like, they've been trying to kind of cut and cut down during this time. And for me, from a kind of more of a general point of view, I think that's quite silly. Personally, just because obviously the more you cut down, the more of a calorie, you know, deficit you're in, the more your immune system's not going to be at the, you know, the best part of its game. So for me, I guess it's a case of asking you, would you, if they were on a cut, would you continue them on that cut, which I think is completely fine, or would you, in this period, say, okay, let's put the calories back up a bit, because let's be honest, there's a show probably not coming in the next few months. Do you get what I mean? Like, have you changed the diet in that way?
Yeah, so for my Gen Pop clients, they'll continue their fat loss journey.
Right.
Regardless. But for someone who's extreme dieting, so obviously Gen Pop clients are never going to be in a deficit like I would have someone as a prep client or a transformation client. And those kind of clients and the approaches are so different.
Yeah.
And I never want them to be integrated. So, but I did actually have a client, my client Jacob, he was reaching the end of his fat loss phase. And he'd lost 23 kilos overall.
Right.
But we wanted to get those last few kilos off, and unfortunately lockdown started, but we weren't finished yet.
Right.
So I was obviously wary of this, and I did say to him, I want you to be careful, and we talked about it, and I said, are you happy to continue dieting because of XYZ? You know, where our immune system's more compromised with, you know, with dieting. And he was happy to do it, and he wanted to do it, and actually he's come out fine. And we're in a couple of weeks into lockdown, we were still dieting, and then we've now reversed him
Right. Okay.
all the way back out. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually like start a cut right now, no, because is it going to be that effective? I mean, some people are getting shredded through lockdown, and that's fine. You know, that's their goal and stuff. But I personally wouldn't, and I wouldn't make my clients get absolutely shredded. Obviously, you get leaner, but not to the point where you're peeled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's not an awful lot of point, is there? But for me, like, funnily enough, during this time, as much as I kind of have just said what I've said, but I've been trying to just basically clean my diet up a bit, because I know I'm not going to really, with the equipment I've got, I'm not going to grow anything whatsoever. I'm probably going to just still keep losing, to be quite honest with you. But the idea for me is just to see what I can do with my body in more of in the opposite way. So I've actually started trying to do more cardio and stuff like that, which is very, very different for me. But obviously I don't take it too seriously, but I've enjoyed seeing the difference. And funnily enough, I just feel so much healthier. Like, I generally feel like I can run around the block and not get out of breath, whereas before I'd be dead.
Yeah, that's really good.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm actually enjoying that side of it. And I think it's quite interesting, because before I would always have kind of said, oh, well, that's boring, I don't want to do that, that's all. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, there were so many things that I'd always say, and it's quite funny how certain situations can change your mindset.
100%.
So that's been quite interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you is obviously when we met you, so when we first, not met in person, but when we first met you kind of online, you were working in gyms still, wasn't you?
Yeah.
So I guess what I want to ask is that transition from PTing in gyms to then now where you're at. We've kind of been along that journey with you, but for people that are watching, is there anything in particular you would say that is key to get into that point?
What's transitioning onto online?
Yeah.
Over to online. I do. So there are people who are online coaches and they've never PT'd, like Josh Bridgman is one of them. But he is an exception, and people like him are an exception because they've invested in themselves so much, and they've been athletes from such a young age. They've learned quite a lot. But I would always say, if you want to be a successful online coach, you need to understand how people are, you know, how people react, how people behave, how people train, what to look out for, because ultimately when you're doing online training, you can't see them, and you're not going to get, you know, to see every single one of their sessions unless they film it, which is unrealistic.
Yeah.
They'll probably have a few sets, but you need to kind of know your craft and understand the craft and understand how people, you know, react and behave, like I said. So I always would think, or always would say, make sure you do one-to-one training,
Yeah.
but never like, don't dismiss online training. If you were to get inquiries, like, don't just go, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Because then you can then do that on the side, and when you're building up knowledge from the gym floor, you can then transition it over to your online clients. But when you feel confident on the gym floor and you kind of feel like you've exhausted the gym floor and your online, base is growing, then I would always like transition over. But I just think it's really important to still be on the gym floor for, a couple of years. I think I was on the gym floor for like 2.5 years.
Right. Okay.
Which gave me enough knowledge to go online. But I've also been working with coaches for quite a few years now, so I was gaining knowledge
From them,
and I was investing a lot into education. I think a lot of personal trainers and coaches don't invest into further education. They just do their PT course, get a few clients, think, oh, that's fine now, but actually, you really need to invest in yourself, because you'll just get left behind, because it's a huge industry. Think about how many online coaches that it is crazy, so you need to be on top of it.
Exactly.
And I would always just say, just be confident as well,
because
at the end of the day, it's just shown now how powerful online training is, because so many PTs have freaked out through this period because they've not built that online business, and they're not getting paid. And it's like the online coaches, every online coach that I know has just done amazingly well, and we're just reaping the benefits from this, even though that's this whole situation is crap. We're still doing really, really well, and we're still able to help people. So I think it is important to have an online presence. I really do.
Yeah, I think so. I think in this era we're in, I think if any business, whether it be a plumbing business, an electrician, if you don't have an online presence, you're never going to do well. Like, I really truly believe that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people are always on the phones. People are always online. If they can't find you online and your presence isn't good online, I genuinely believe you're going to just keep declining until you have nothing. Yes, word of mouth is good, but like you said, there's a lot of PTs that probably do well in your pure gyms and all this stuff, but they only do well because they're there. There's a lot of members. They can get a few clients. They don't really have to put the work in. I think, like you've said, they're going to struggle during this period because they don't further the career. That's what I find a lot of people do, is they just stop. And it's like, why would you not push yourself further? Give yourself more of a name. Because at the end of the day, like you've just said, there's probably going to be millions of actual PTs in the UK even. To make yourself different, it needs your personality on it.
100%.
And I've always said this. I've said this with brands, with just online stores. It needs to have a personality. If it has no personality, why are you different to somebody else? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been quite interesting because I've worked with a number of new brands that are bringing out supplements, and they say, Danny, can you advise me what to do? I said, well, who are you? Like, what are you going to give this company that millionaire down the road is not going to do better than you? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, well, then you shouldn't be doing it. And I think that's the weird thing, is like with Insight, we've always said we will be brutally honest to the point where if we get something in, we might be sat on stock for years because we've said it's shit. But I'd rather say it's shit than then you buy it and ring me up and say, well, Danny, why'd you sell me this? It's shit. And I say, well, I told you it was shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a case of just being so honest that it potentially can hurt you. But I think in the end, it won't hurt you, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, apart from that, one thing is when you went from PT into online coaching, what was the exact point where is it a certain number of clients online? Is it just something in your mind where you think I'm ready now? Or is it a case of, I don't even know, financial stability? Like, what is it that gave you that one jump?
So I obviously moved from Oxford to London.
Yeah.
So I had to leave my business, my PT business. And that was the catalyst to me going onto online.
Right.
Because I'm not quite sure if I was to stay in Oxford, if I'd have left my PT business, because I actually really enjoyed the gym.
Yeah.
Although it could have, had a bit more equipment, I had a great group of clients and like people I work with, and I literally lived 5 minutes from the gym.
Right.
And it was a successful business. And I was able to charge more and work less hours. So it's perfect.
Right.
Whereas a lot of PTs, they'll work crazy hours, like 5 a.m. till 10 at night or something,
Yeah.
just to make ends meet. So I had it quite good in the fact that I could charge more but work less. However, I did still have the really, really early starts,
Right.
which were just when I was in prep and everything, it was just really quite draining.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I thought I need to just go online, because when I come to prep, it's really difficult for me doing PT. You know, it's not nice being with your client, like not even able to count reps because you physically can't even stand, and you can't even help load up the weights. It's just awful. So I moved to London. So I had to leave my job, the PT job behind. I'd already built up, I think it was about 10 clients or something just from Instagram.
Right.
I never actually marketed my online business ever.
Right.
But this just built organically. And then I went to London. I thought, oh, maybe I want to go to PT again. So obviously London is like rife for PT and very high earning PTs and the main gym. So I joined Third Space, which is a very elite gym. And it takes, it's quite hard to get into it as a PT as well. So when I got accepted and got through all the auditions, I kind of thought, oh, this is amazing. And then I soon realised that I couldn't do online training and personal training together, because my online was growing and I had to be, traveling in and out of central London. So I then decided I need to make the jump. And I've actually got a really amazing business mentor called Adam Haley.
Right.
And I've been working with him prior to moving to London. And he just said to me, you just need to make the jump, Chloe, but you need to decide that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I did. And it's like, I've never looked back. Honestly, I haven't looked back.
That's good.
And although I miss interaction, I still teach in London. So I teach classes at Dignity Fitness.
Right. Okay.
So I get that one-to-one interaction and get to empower like a group of people, which I love. And you know what I'm like, I'm quite a extrovert, quite loud. So when I'm in front of my laptop all day, I feel like I'm going crazy. So I need to be with people, but teaching in London gives me that. So I feel like I'm in such a good place for my business and my life, and I feel like I've got a very good balance at the moment, which is good. I never thought I would say, and obviously I've got an amazing sponsor to support me.
Yeah, I agree with that point, but the rest, no. But no, you have done really well. And to be honest with you, I remember us speaking when you were thinking about it. And I think it's one of those things where, like you say, like your business mentor said to you, it's a case of, if you believe it will work, if you believe in yourself, I think it generally tends to work. And it's something like you said, it's that jump. And it was same with us with when we were doing the first Body Power the first year. We literally had enough money to cover the stand, but we had to borrow some from my mum and dad. And that was all we had. We literally turned to each other and went, right, if this fails, if we don't get any money back, Insight's done. And that was obviously a huge risk, but I think if you believe in it enough, genuinely it tends to work. It sounds cliche, but I generally believe it.
It's true.
But I think in terms of, so when you were so I'm up north, right? I have no idea about London. I have no idea about down south. So
Northern.
I'm northern, right? So the thing for me is, I don't understand. So Oxford to me sounds quite a wealthy area. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So when you were, for example, moving from Oxford to London, what was the reason to be doing that move in the first place?
It was my boyfriend.
It was your boyfriend, right? Okay.
So I've always had the dream to move to London, because Oxford is an amazing place. But anyone who knows Oxford well, it's quite a small city. And when I went to uni, I was in Nottingham, which is quite a big city. So living in Oxford, although it's so beautiful and everyone knows, well, not everyone knows each other, but the personal training and like fitness industry is quite small in Oxford, and everyone's everyone knows each other, and so it is lovely. But when you want to further your career, and just get a change, I think London is the next best thing.
Right.
But I moved there because my boyfriend got a job there, and also like with two people, it's obviously more affordable than just you on your own.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'd want to do a house share.
Yeah.
A lot of people, in Mid London, because it is so expensive, you do a house share and stuff. But for me, with my job and competing and food prepping, and I couldn't be sharing a kitchen with anyone. No. It's like being in prep and them coming in and rolling in and waking me up. That just would be
exactly
Yeah. So I like my own personal space as well. So it was more affordable for two of us. And I feel really lucky that I've been able to make the move, and it has been hard, don't get me wrong, because it's not the countryside. I'm a farmer's daughter, so
right, okay.
it's completely different for me, but yeah, I'm loving it.
That's
So,
good.
so far.
I think it's quite weird because I remember when you were the first person to educate me on how much living in London costs, and I cannot believe
Yeah.
how much it costs. Like genuinely, when you said that, I thought you were joking, and then I kind of looked into it, and I'm like, how can it cost this much? I can nearly buy a house for that. Like, yeah, I don't know. It baffles me anyway. But I guess it's one of them things where, to get to, it probably was the best move, as you say, to go into London, try and grow yourself to a point that you really love. But for me, like being a northern person and stuff, to me, I would just hate to go into London. I'd be like, this is too busy. Like, oh no, I couldn't do it. I don't know what it is like for me, but I've only been to. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever been to London actually.
Wow,
No.
you need to. You're missing out though. It's beautiful. It's so we live in Fulham. So we're not in central London.
Right.
So
Okay.
where we live, there's a park and it's like it's not busy,
Right. Okay.
my stretch imagination. So it takes about 30 minutes on a tube to get into central London. So I could never live in Soho or anything. That would
Right.
drive me crazy. So yeah, but it is very, very expensive.
Yeah. Definitely.
Even the cost of the tubes, like each week, I think we worked out a month to travel in London is like near enough over £100 for
What?
travel. Mm.
Oh dear, yeah, no, it's a different world really. Like I think it's
Oh,
quite impressive to do what you've done because I think for us guys up here, genuinely, it would be a bit daunting. Like it's a lot slower up here. Like I don't know if you've ever really been up to not up here up north really, but it just is very different. Like very different. Like I've been to uni with people from down south, and the joke always was, that we're kind of a bit slower and all this kind of thing, but. Yeah, it was always weird. Like London people and Southern people in general, I think are so different. It's like we're from different countries. Um,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's really weird.
London is
So
London's full of very high-powered, high-earning
yeah,
people who are just so stressed, and that's why the fitness industry in London is booming because people need to help these kind of people who are they need to put their
yeah,
health as priority, not their work. So yeah, but it is a complete different way of life. Like I sometimes are in the tube stations and I just feel like saying to people, can you just slow the fuck down, please?
yeah,
Because they just run. You would think there was like a bomb about to
yeah,
explode.
yeah,
Like they honestly, escalators, running up, running down, like pushing you out the way, like getting on the tubes
yeah,
in the morning at peak hours. I don't have to do peak hours, thank God. But literally, you're like a sardine. I am not
yeah.
joking. It's like this sometimes, and you're like kissing the person in front of you.
Fuck it.
It's a nightmare.
No, that
So I
doesn't
wouldn't
sound very
really
good.
advise going peak hours.
No, no, that doesn't
Telling
sound good.
you.
So I mean, the next thing is, so before you came on board with us, did you use supplements a lot? And if you did, or if you just use them a little bit, what did you use?
Oh my God. So I literally, Jack Thorburn always takes piss out of me for this because I literally didn't use anything. I think I had whey powder from bulk powders, which I didn't even really like. The
Right.
first one was whey protein. They went to whey isolate like 3 years ago. And then I would have BCAAs,
Yeah.
not EAAs. And that would probably be, I can't remember what brand now, but nothing spectacular. I think I'll just take a multivitamin or something. Like it was nothing crazy. And pre-workouts, I did used to take, but again, I just used to get them off the internet and
Yeah.
from random places. But now I'm with you guys. Like, yeah, my supplement game has changed.
Gone up. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's quite interesting because, like I say, like supplements are only a supplement to your diet, and I think it's always good as a supplement company that we say this and we kind of reiterate this because I think if you don't, it kind of becomes a bit of a, I don't know what the word is, but people tend to sometimes overuse them. Like there's guys that will order £500 a month worth of supplements. I'm just like, it must be their hobby to take them, but I could never pay that much a month on supplements. Like, how would you take that many? I don't know how you'd have time in your day. But what is interesting is to see people that, like yourself, have done so well on stage and not really take much, which is quite quite interesting, because then I think you can add some in, and fingers crossed for your next prep that it can make a lot of difference, that it can help you even more. But I do want to kind of say that, yeah, it's purely obvious that you can get there without the supplements. But anything they can do to help, I guess, is something we can try and do.
Yeah, I think it's that extra 1%, really, isn't it? And I think you'd
Yeah.
agree with that. But I would never put my general population clients on as, EAAs and creatine, because first of all, most likely they need to learn how to train properly, and also their diet needs to be changed,
Yeah.
and they need to have a proper lifestyle. Giving them EAAs and creatine and a sleep stack isn't really going to do anything, because at the end of the day, sleep stack put you to sleep. It just aids you. But you have to also, be aware that you shouldn't be on your phone before bed. You shouldn't be having caffeine past 2 o'clock. All these things make such a huge difference. Obviously, daylight exposure. So if they're not nailing those aspects, how does sleep stack going to actually put them to sleep? It's not like a pill, is it?
No, I agree.
So I think people need to realize they need to get their nutrition on point and their training, and then it will then start making a difference, and it will be the extra 1%, and it will help you, but it's not going to be the making of someone's physique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think.
No, but it's really cool to see that. I think in general, you've gone from the beginning, kind of. I would say you wasn't sure exactly what to use, what to pick, and I think now you're definitely becoming a lot more kind of clued up on the topic, and it shows through people that are now buying through your code. And I think it's another string to add to your bow, which makes you an all-round better coach, I guess. And the fact that you can kind of rely on us to say, right, you can go to me, I want something in this category that's like this. My clients are this, and this, and hopefully we can aid you to the point as well where you don't have to really look for every product, because we've got a hell of a lot of products now, but where we can kind of work together, and I can go, yeah, if you want something like that, try one of these three. Because there is a lot to look through, you know what I mean? There is a hell of a lot. Like, we just looked the other day and we said, as soon as we get a new staff member, how are they going to know what any of these products are? There's so many. They're all so different. They're all I don't know. It's a really big industry. And I think if you can have kind of a bit of a system where you work together, I think it works a hell of a lot better. Hopefully we can do that. And what was quite cool for us is, obviously you're our only girl on the team at the moment. And having a female has definitely helped us a bit. We've noticed that we've gathered definitely a little bit more of a female base, because I think what we've tend to see is it's getting more and more, probably like it used to be, about 98% male, 2% female are following on Instagram, are buying our actual orders. And now there's definitely been a switch. I'd say it's more 85-15 or 80-20, which is good, because I think females in general, I once got asked to do I can't remember where it was. It was what was it? It was a bodybuilding competition, but it was more one that a lot of females did. I can't remember what it was called.
Okay.
And the guy said to me, because he's always kind of worked with us since the beginning, he said to me, he's the owner of it, and he said, do you want to come down and do a talk on supplements? And he goes, I just want to let you know that it is 95% female. And I said, I think what I would say would bore them. I said, I really don't think I should come. And he was like, to be honest, I kind of agree. And I wanted to ask you, why do you think it is that it is a very male-dominated section?
So I think, from looking at it from a female's point of view, I think it is changing. The industry is changing, and I think people are competing more. So therefore, they're going for the brands like yourself and stuff. But I think the majority of girls who lift, they'll be the ones who get the women's only brands.
Yeah.
Because the influencers are obviously sponsored by these companies, and I think women in general, if you're just going to the gym, I think they're very intimidated by supplements, because believe it or not, some girls believe that if you take whey protein, you're going to get massive. I mean, I wish that was the case. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think people aren't girls aren't very educated on it. I don't think they're almost, when they enter the gym, they're almost scared to build muscle. And although it's changing now, some girls start the fitness journey and they want to get muscular, which I absolutely love. I still think there is a group of girls, or population of girls, that still are scared to to pick up weights, and
Yeah.
I think they eventually, come up the woodwork and they start lifting weights and they start going for more supplements. But I think it's because of the influencers on Instagram, because
Yeah.
I think they're going for the women's brands only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to mention their names because that's not fair. But yeah.
No, I agree.
That's why
Yeah, I think it's been quite interesting because obviously they see the women that they want to look like on these posters of those brands, and I guess that's kind of where it comes from. But one thing that I think has been, you've mentioned it again, but it's like a lot of, so we don't get many. So we're actually, obviously, I'm saying we're getting more and more of a female kind of following that are asking questions and wanting to know about things, which is great. The ones that come into the store, like our public store, I tend to be women from around here, obviously, and they'll come in and go, I want this, but I want it to be, I don't want to grow muscle like you've said. And I'm like you exactly just said, if it was that easy, I would look 10 times better than I do now. And she's literally like, right, okay, but promise me this won't grow me muscle. I'm like, I can't promise you anything more than that will not grow you a shit ton of muscle. Like, if you come back to me and you're 20 stone of pure muscle, then I want whatever the hell you're taking. Yeah, because it's definitely not protein. But yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's quite interesting and intriguing to see that more and more are moving that way now, because you know yourself. To get to yourself to, so you'll see, let's say an average woman might see a woman on the TV, has a really nice figure, but they will actually understand that that woman, to get a figure like that, technically has had to grow muscle. Yes, she doesn't look muscly, but you look more in shape by growing muscle. Like, that's how it's going to work. More muscle, you're going to burn more fat in general. It's just, I think it's a learning curve, but I think 100% women are getting there now. And it sounds like I'm being sexist, but you've said it, so it's okay. So yeah, it's good to see it going that way. Like, we get tagged in, obviously, people that order from us, and I love it when I see more and more girls ordering, because it's just something that I've always wanted to kind of get into that area, get into that category, because it can help. Yes, it's only a small percent, but it can. And I think, funnily enough, what we've tend to find as well is, though, that many girls, like, for example, my girlfriend, Shazzy's wife, like a lot of them, weirdly don't like the taste of any of them, which I don't know what it is, but like, I'll try something, I'll be like, this is delicious, do you want to try some? I'll pass it to her and she'll be like, it just tastes like supplements. I'm like, but it doesn't, it tastes amazing. So it's weird, I don't know. I think it's a case of, I guess, maybe the first one you try, you're a little bit like, this just tastes a bit weird, but once you get into it, then you like it. I'm not too sure.
I would say the pre-workouts and stuff, they were always going to be a winner for everyone, though. Like, they obviously sell really well, don't they?
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of girls, regardless of their goals, they like, they like a bit of pre-workout.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's just trying to get people away from the huge brands.
Yeah.
And into more, companies like yourself, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, and this isn't me being biased, but your products are so much better than the other brands. Like, the taste, and all of my clients have always said as well, and the quality of them and everything. So yeah, I think it is changing.
Yeah.
I think the more girls that compete and get into bodybuilding or body transformations and get away from, just doing cardio, I think it really, really does help. So,
exactly, yeah. No, I agree. And I think it's quite funny, because when we've looked for athletes in general, like, as I say, we brought on yourself straight away, we seen you, we were like, right, that ticks kind of what we're aiming for. I knew you were going to do that. But there is more and more getting to be like yourself. And I think it's great, because, like, you're looking around and you're like, right, that person is training hard. They're doing the things that they should be doing to build a good physique. They're also very personable. Whereas I think a lot of the other ones you see, like, potentially, like more of the Gymshark athletes, let's say, are kind of like, they kind of more think they're more of a celebrity. They don't really want to engage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so it's obviously, as a brand with Gymshark, I think the owner, before anyone tells me off on here that listens to this, I think the owner is an absolute legend, and I honestly he's just done amazing. Like, the way he's brought his brand up on his own, he's just phenomenal. But with the athletes and stuff, it's like, obviously I don't have any grudges against any of them. They're very successful, but I do think it is the same kind of look, and almost it's kind of like a clone, because all the girls have the same similar body shapes, and they're not going to get shredded and lean, and they'll probably think that I'm a freak. and never want to look like me, which is absolutely fine. They can think that, but yeah, I think it is very different, and they are going for the following potentially more, more so. And I don't know. I think it is just completely different. It's a completely different market. A
Definitely.
completely different market.
No, definitely. And we've like, yeah, I mean, so like, I guess the question to ask you is, so we've always thought about, so with girl athletes, it's very hard, obviously, like we've said, in terms of getting them onto supplements. And one thing that's quite strange is, so I know a girl, she lives near us, and she has a very big following in terms of clothing. So when she like, she's an athlete of a certain clothing brand, she'll put a post up and she'll show how many people have bought this clothing.
Yeah.
Using her code and stuff, and it's just like, so you sit there and think, would that be a good, would that work for us? But it wouldn't. It really wouldn't. Like, I think women in general that have good figures can definitely generate more of a following into clothing, because I think clothing, you can get a size that fits you. Whereas I guess with a supplement, you can't always get a supplement that fits you.
And also you got to think as well, it's all about aesthetics these days on
Yeah,
Instagram. So if someone's got an amazing ass and legs and they put these
yeah,
leggings on, and that's why clothing brands like gym clothing, if you get into that industry and you do well, that's why Gymshark is so amazing and big,
yeah,
because they've got these beautiful girls, which they are all beautiful, and all
yeah,
these good looking guys all wearing this stuff and they look fantastic, and that's why it's all being sold. But with a supplement, you can't wear a supplement.
yeah,
You can't. It's completely different, isn't it?
yeah.
So yeah, it is completely different industry.
No, it is 100%. And funnily enough, there's something I'm doing at the moment. I'll tell you about later on, but I might want your help on something to do with that.
Oh.
Which is, yeah, along the clothing lines, but I'll let you know anyway. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
I asked for that top, but it's not here yet.
it's. Do
So
you?
everyone listening to this, there was hoodies for the guys, and the t-shirts, the inside t-shirts, which are cool, right? But when you're shredded and you want to show off your muscles, there wasn't anything. So I ended up cutting the t-shirts and I make a little top, and I think it was you or Shaz saw it and he really liked it, and I was like, well, get me one made then, and you haven't.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what it is? It's one of them things though. It's like, that's exactly what we're talking about. Is we would love to have a female kind of line, like where it would be more female based, but we'd get one made. You'd be you wearing it, and no one else would buy one. So it's a case of, we can't get, obviously, to get enough done, because we ship them from Pakistan. So to get, like, you have to do a minimum of like 50, and it's like, we'd have to do 50 just for yourself. So yeah, it's interesting, but I definitely think it's going the right way, and with your help, it's definitely going that way. So we have to thank you for that. I guess last thing before we close off, because we've nearly touched an hour already, but what we'll say is, so plans for you. Obviously, you don't really know, but plans for you for the next coming year. What are the approximate plans?
Competing and business.
Yeah, both.
So business wise, just to keep building my little empire. I don't have any, like, I've obviously got business goals, but I'm never going to put pressure on myself. Like, I have to turn over this per year, because I do this because I love it and I
Yeah,
love helping people. And for me personally, if I was to put that added pressure on me as a one-man band, as they say, I don't think it would be. I think it'd be
yeah,
more detrimental to me. But all I want to do is just keep building my business, because I never knew that this time last year my online business wasn't like this, and
yeah,
it's amazing how I've, the results I've got and the people I get to work with is just, incredible. So I can just want to keep striving with that. As an athlete, I'm going to be really honest. First of all, when I won in 2018, when I won the British title and got my overall and stuff, I was like, right, IFBB Pro is my next life
yeah,
aim. However, since being away from the stage for a couple of years and kind of, stepping away from the sport, even though you never step away from the sport, but just being away from it a bit, you kind of just realign your goals slightly. And obviously, how greedy I am. And I want a child. So I would love to start a family in the next couple of years. And obviously, it would be amazing for me to get my pro card next year. And I would never say I'm not getting it, I don't want it. But I'm not putting myself out there saying I have to get it, because otherwise I've failed. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. I'll do a PCA show or PCA shows, and I've got my goals within that I want to achieve. But if I do a two bro show, and that's if, and I do really, really well, then amazing. But I'm not going to
Yeah.
be, putting that pressure that I want to become an IFBB pro, because when you're then a pro, fantastic, you have the card, but then you need to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really. And although it will look cool next to my name on Instagram, realistically, I'm not 22 anymore. I'm 28, and I can't be competing into my 30s if I want to start a family.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend isn't in the bodybuilding industry, and although he's amazing and supports me, we have life goals together. We want to go on holiday, want to go traveling, and
Yeah.
he's got all these things that he wants to do. And if I'm going to be in prep, consistently year on year, but going up the pro league, it's just going to be, it's not, I love the sport, don't get me wrong, and and it's just changed me as a person. I literally love it.
Yeah.
But it's not my ambition to step on the Olympia stage, because realistically, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for the Olympia stage. I know I'm not. And to get there is just such a long journey.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that I can't be bothered for that journey, because that's not true. I love working hard, but it's just not one of my life aspirations. I've got to be realistic, basically.
No, that's good to hear, though.
And I think a lot of people, like when I've talked to people about this, Danny, they've said it's really refreshing to hear someone say this.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of girls, all they want is that pro card, and that's an amazing achievement and an amazing, goal to have. Of course it is, and I would never ever shoot someone down for that. But I think you need to be more realistic sometimes, because not everyone can get a pro card.
Exactly.
And you got to think of your health. Health is number one as well.
It really is. Yeah, I agree. I think like you said, it's really refreshing to hear that, and I think it's so good that you've said that, because for me, not being, yes, I love bodybuilding, but I would never do it as a career. Number one, I wouldn't be good enough. Number two, I wouldn't want to go on anabolics. It just wouldn't be for me. No. I've always wanted a family like yourself, and now obviously I've got the little one, and I do want more. So for me, bodybuilding is very selfish, as we all know. It's a very selfish sport, and like you've said, it's not fair on your partner. I don't think it is. I really think that if you're going to do it, I personally believe the best thing is to be single, as harsh as that may sound.
100%.
And I'll always be brutally honest about this subject, because I just think sometimes people are driving for something, which, yes, is great. It's great to be passionate, but is it an unhealthy obsession?
Yes.
Because like you said, yes, okay, to get a pro card would be amazing, which is obviously, it would be. Like, don't get me wrong, it would be. But is there other things in your life you want? So for number one, to have financial stability. Being a bodybuilder is not financially stable unless you are one of the best in the world. Exactly. So that's number one. Number two, do you ever want a family? Number three, do you ever want a partner? Number four, do you ever want a house? There's a lot of things in this life that, to me, are a lot more important. Yes, there is people that will say they're not as important as bodybuilding, which is fine. But I think you've got to then understand those other things probably won't come.
And also, if you think about, trying to handle clients and build an actual business, like, doesn't matter if it's an online business or if it's a business in London, doesn't matter what business you're running, you need to be in your business and growing it. And if you're chasing something and competing in a pro league and an IFBB pro, and you're traveling here, then everywhere, are you going to be able to give the utmost to your business? And I know some people might be able to, some people probably argue with me over this, but for me personally, it's not the be all and end all to be an IFBB pro.
Yeah.
I'm not going to finish my year competing next year going, I didn't get my pro card, I'm a failure. I would never think that, because I've achieved so much now, but I think your goals just change, and my goals just been realigned. And for me, a family and actually go on holiday is so important. Like you said, you need to be single if you want to be a professional bodybuilder, because my boyfriend has suffered so much, and he's probably absolutely dreading next year. And I'm going to try my utmost to not be an absolute arsehole, but I can't promise anything.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, it's so interesting, and it's a weird subject that we could probably talk about for a long time, because I have a lot of views on it, and I just think people need to be happy, and I think it's sad sometimes to see what some people go through, and it's one of those that we could probably talk about for a long time. What I think I want to do is, because I can get a good point from you, but a female aspect, I think what we might do is actually do a series of this. hopefully people watching are liking it. But I think the idea should be maybe we'll call it something like bodybuilding through a female perspective, or an insight into the female bodybuilding, something like that. And I think do a series, because I've just thought of at least another 3 episodes which we can talk about that
100%.
would be interesting.
Good. And also one last point before we wrap up. I think from being someone like myself, you've got to push food, and I'm on like nearly 3,000 calories, and I've got body fat that I don't really want, actually, to be honest. I don't feel comfortable, but I have to do it for the sport.
Yeah.
Do I want to feel like this every time, every year? Absolutely no chance. Like, do I want huge shoulders and huge legs all around the year? No.
Yeah.
I want to be able to wear shorts and not have huge chafe. Obviously, I'm always going to be muscular, but I don't want to have to bulk.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm 30, 32 years old, like, it's just, I want to be in shape all the time. And I think the time comes anyway, but that's another story and another subject.
Yeah. No, we definitely will. I think it's definitely a good idea, though. I think people will enjoy this type of thing. I think people will hopefully relate to it, and hopefully we can bring a bit more of a female audience to insight in general from this. So yeah, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, we'll sort out another one sometime soon. Thank you to everyone that's watched. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.